Welcome to part 4 of PhD Application Masterclass. In this video, I'm going to talk about green flags versus red flags in your application. Most applications are rejected not because they are weak, but because of signals that raise concern about your application. In this video, I am going to show you what the panel is actually looking for and how and what signals quietly undermines your application. But before jumping into green and red flags, I would like to draw your attention to the opening paragraph of your statement or cover letter. Most panel members or the person who is evaluating your application are far too busy with a very oversubscribed schedule. They will have to evaluate tens or sometimes hundreds of applications in a very short period of time in addition to their oversubscribed schedule. Therefore, the opening paragraph of your cover letter or statement letter is your chance to draw their attention to your application and make them to read properly, or to lose them and make them to just skim through and evaluate your application in less than a minute. Therefore, it is worth to spend time and effort to make a great, flawless opening paragraph for your statement letter or your cover letter. Now, let's start with green flags. What the panel looking for in your application. The very first category of green flags are clarity of purpose or motivation. What they want to see is that you can articulate why this PhD and why now. They want to see you can articulate how this PhD fits your trajectory. They want to see you demonstrate this PhD is about the process, not is just the outcome. Your motivation is intrinsic, not external. The second category is research maturity, that you describe experiences with specificity, you reflect on what you learn from challenges, you demonstrate in intellectual curiosity, you show evidence of independent thinking. And then the next category is realistic program scope. Your proposal is ambitious but achievable. You have thought through methodology carefully. You acknowledge challenges and have plan Bs. You demonstrate awareness of constraints. You demonstrate resilience and perseverance. The next is about strong advocacy, that your referees provide specific, enthusiastic examples. Letters describe research capability, not just good student. Multiple referees speak to your research experience. References compare you favorably to others. Usually in the UK system, each application is tailored with 3 referees. If all the referees rank you on top 5 out of a big population or big enough population, then this is a very strong indication and you need to use it as a green flag. The last category is a genuine fit, and what they want to see here is that you have clearly researched the program. You can explain why this specific environment is right for you. You have already been in contact with the supervisor. Ideally, you have exchanged a number of emails. You have described the potential project and the plan for that. You reference specific resources and opportunities potentially from the group you wish to join with. So let's have a look to one case study about green flags. Here the applicant says, during my undergraduate research on synaptic plasticity, I discovered that understanding molecular mechanisms require integrating multiple scales of analysis, very clearly defining the problem. This realization drives my interest in systems neuroscience approaches to memory formation, very clearly defining the objectives and goals for the research or for the PhD program. As a research assistant in Dr. Johnson's lab, I investigated how synaptic proteins regulate long-term potentiation. I independently designed and optimized immunofluorescence protocols to visualize protein localization in hippocampal neurons, troubleshooting antibody specificity issues through systematic testing of blocking conditions, very clearly talking the terminology and about the tools that was involved in that particular research, and therefore indicating that they know what they are talking about and what is the research actually is about. When our initial hypothesis about protein X was not supported by the data, I proposed an alternative mechanism involving protein Y, which we are now investigating, very clearly indicating one example that failed, which is very often in PhD programs, and reflecting on that, what was the lesson they learned, what was the outcome. This work resulted in a poster presentation at the Society of Neuroscience conference conference and is contributing to a manuscript preparation. Through this experience, I developed not only technical skills but also the resilience required when experiments fail and the creativity needed to generate new hypotheses, very clearly indicating the output, not only that, indicating with authority that this output is going to be published in a prestigious event or conference or journal, and also reflecting on the whole thing. And as I said earlier, that a PhD program is about the process and not just about the outcome. And as I mentioned, green flags that were very clear here was clarity, research maturity, independence, reflection, and outputs. Now let's have a look to red flags. The very first type of red flags are generic applications that could be sent to any university. No mention of a specific faculty or research, vague statements about world-class facilities, no evidence of research into the program. The second category is unrealistic proposal, which requires 10 years and unlimited resources. Methodology is vague or unfeasible. No awareness of practical constraints. Scope is either too broad or too narrow. The third category is weak research experience. They mention only coursework, no hands-on research, vague descriptions, for example, assisted with research, no evidence of independent contributions, no research outputs, and then when it comes to reference letters, lukewarm references, polite but lacking specific examples, generic phrases such as good student, hard worker, no discussion of research capability, suggests referee doesn't know you well, or another one is that the referee is your friend or your relative or someone not authorized to make a comment, a scientific comment about your application. And the fifth category is poor writing quality, typos, grammatical errors, unclear logic, excessive jargon or overlay casual tones, disorganized structure, exceeds word limits or ignore the instructions about the formatting of the application. And remember that one red flag might not be fatal, but multiple red flags very likely will kill your application. Now here, let's have a look to one case study of red flags. I have always been passionate about science and helping people. I believe a PhD will allow me to make a difference in the world and contribute to important research. As you see here, it's very generic and very vague. I worked in a lab during my undergrad degrees where I learned many techniques. Which techniques? What techniques? And gain valuable experiences. What type of experiences? I also took several courses in biology and chemistry and data science where I received high grades. Again, very generic or vague. I am a hard worker and dedicated student who is committed to excellence. Everyone can say that. I am applying to your prestigious university because of its excellent reputation and world-class facilities. I believe your program could be perfect fit for my interests and career goals. I am excited about the opportunity to work with your distinguished faculty. And as we see here, the signals that is going to kill this application is that very generic and vague, the cliche language, no specific research description, no evidence of independent contribution, no reflection on learning, could be sent to any university, focuses on prestigious rather than specificity and fit, no mention of a specific faculty or research. And now at this section, let's just briefly summarize how to transform your application. And these are just examples, okay? The very first one is to, instead of generic, be specific. Instead of saying, I want to study at your prestigious university, you could be saying, I want to work with Dr. Smith on T-cell receptor recognition, building on her recent Nature paper about blah, blah, blah. Instead of being vague, be very detailed. I worked in lab and learned techniques. Instead, you can say, I independently designed Western blot protocols to assess protein expression across 50 samples. Instead of unrealistic, be feasible. Instead of saying, I will cure cancer by studying this possible way, you can say that I will investigate how regulatory T cells contribute on checkpoint inhibitor resistance in melanoma or etc. Instead of passive, be active. For example, instead of saying I was taught how to use this equipment, you can say that I independently optimize protocols and troubleshoot issues when initial results were inconsistent. Instead of claims, provide evidence. For instance, instead of saying I am a passionate and hard-working person, say when experiments failed repeatedly, I systematically tested alternative approaches and ultimately discovered X and Y and Z. So to summarize this section, we mentioned green flags. Examples were clarity of purpose, research maturity, realistic scope, strong advocacy, and genuine fit. We talked about green flags. Examples were generic application, unrealistic proposal, weak research experience, lukewarm references, poor writing quality, and your action plan should be review your application against these criteria, identify any red flag and address them, strength green flags with specific examples, get feedback from multiple people, revise until every red flag is eliminated. Remember that one red flag isn't fatal, multiple red flag can mean rejection. Green flags compensate for weaknesses, and most importantly, or perhaps the take-home message for you from this session should be that successful is all about specificity plus evidence plus reflection when it comes to PhD applications. So if you want to learn more, please see our website www.immunointelligence.co.uk, and I will see you in my next session.